there is a trend amongst environmentalists. A lot of them really have this weird attraction to gluing themselves to things. So they'll glue themselves to highways, they'll glue themselves to floors, they'll glue themselves to walls. And they will glue themselves to paintings. They'll deface paintings, they'll slice them into ribbons, they'll pour paint, they'll pour soup, do whatever they can. And their train of thought is, oh, well, you're mad about this, but you're not mad about the planet? You're a hypocrite piece of shit who needs to die. Because the planet's way more important than some old painting from 1600. Because if the planet dies, then this vanishes anyway, so it doesn't matter. Now, aside from being overly preachy and obnoxious, it actually does the opposite of get their point across. On paper, that sounds very, divisive. That sounds very hard crack, But in reality, they failed to realize that that doesn't make them look like the cool anti-hero edgelord from their political comic books. It just makes them against the common man. Somebody who can't genuinely do anything about oil. The politicians they want to incite change don't care about artwork, or the artwork they care about, they already own the original copies of and have hidden in a safe, and it destroys accessibility to the common person for these old artworks, these relics of human history. Arguably, they have more value than every single one of those protesters' lives combined. This is going to sound obnoxious, but like every single Just Stop Oil protester, I would not flinch if they were, while alive, kicking, screaming, whining, pissing, and shitting themselves, tossed into one of those car compactors and slowly crushed to death, made into a cube, and then displayed in a museum. Like, if they really wanted to stop oil, you know what they would do? They would be pro-nuclear. Unironically, like quite genuinely, if you wanted to stop oil and all of its evil wrongdoings, you would be the strongest supporter of nuclear reactors, nuclear power, nuclear fission. Now, one might argue, well, if you're angry about how somebody's protesting, then their protest is useful and working. I would argue no. The point of a protest is that angry people are trying to get things changed. Every time those things happen, the next day there's always stories in that area's local news about people who died. Quite genuinely died because the main roads were blocked. And what do you mean died? Well, I mean like emergency services, fire trucks, police, ambulances. All of them are also blocked in traffic. They cannot do anything. So people die on the way to the hospital, or they die because the police wasn't there to stop somebody from shooting them in the skull, or they died because their house burnt down and their child was stuck on the upper floor. Like, no, these people are fucking lunatics and they're dangerous. You think my edgelord, we should put them in a trash compactor, is edgy? You think that's obnoxious? You think that's damaging? Be a Just Stop Oil protester and glue yourself to a highway and ruin thousands of people's lives in a single instant. You can't hug children with nuclear arms! Here's the thing. Every major country that developed anything nuclear, by stripping away having nuclear power as a source, they didn't destroy their ability to access nuclear weaponry. They're still developing their nuclear technology. But because of dipshits, a regular person has no access to those benefits. Like, if you really cared about the environment, you would love the idea of a nuclear power plant. I think an issue with nuclear is that too many people are familiar with the possible failures of old facilities and totally uneducated about how much better modern facilities are. Oh, 1,000%. Again, it's in the best interest of people who are very much so engaged in the buying and selling of oil and oil-based products to keep nuclear at bay. Decades of misinformation and propaganda are pumped into the system. And so now you've got people that are waking up to oil and all of its garbage, but they're also still sucking the dick of nuclear power plant, anti-nukes. It makes me angry.